Hi, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Felicia from SweetGeorgia, and this is Taking Back Friday. This is a time where we come every month, once a month, on the second Friday of every month, and we just catch up about all the things that are happening at SweetGeorgia in and around our hand-dyed yarn studio in Vancouver. So today is actually, I can't believe it's been so long since September, when we last got together. Maybe a month or 2 months ago, I was showing the sweater that I was working on, and it is finally done. I'm really excited about it. This is the Alpine Bloom sweater. I'll talk about this a little bit more. But yeah, a lot of things have happened since September, and so we're going to talk about all of those things. Maybe. Yes. Wonderful. Thank you. I'm seeing everybody in the chat here. Fantastic. Thank you guys so much for being here. It's nice to see you all. Oh, happy Friday the 13th. Yes. Let's hope it's a good day for everyone. So since September, what's been happening? So we have had Knit City. Knit City is our big yarn festival that happens at the end of September every year, and in Vancouver. And so Knit City was wonderful. It was great. It's great. Like, it's a high point of the year. We get to see everybody. We get to see everybody in our local industry. There's people who come in from other provinces, from other places to come here to set up and have this yarn festival, this fiber festival. So it's really, really wonderful. And so I just appreciate everybody who came by the booth to say hello, to say that they watch this channel, to say that they watch these videos. Thank you so much for coming by. It's really neat to see people in person. And we were really, really lucky to be able to have this lounge space where we were able to spin together with other folks, and people were able to bring in knitting. I know we had a lot of our SweetGeorgia, School of SweetGeorgia instructors. So Holly Yo, Diana Twist, Kim McKenna, Rachel Smith. We had Jana Maria with tapestry, and everybody came out to help demonstrate some of the skills and techniques and fiber arts things that we're all so excited about. I think one of the cool things about Knit City is, even though it's called Knit City, it is a fiber festival. So there are people there who are really actually interested in spinning or wanting to learn about spinning for the first time. There's people who are interested in fiber. There's people who are interested in crochet. It's not just a knitting show, but it gives us a chance to sort of like show people what else is available for you to do with the yarn that you have or the fiber that you have and things like that. So it was great. I got to meet a bunch of new people. It was fantastic. And yeah, next year's event is actually going to be in Calgary. So next year's Vancouver event is being moved to Calgary. And I believe that the year after that, it's going to return back to Vancouver. And so there might be this sort of like alternating year kind of situation with Knit City, but that is something that is going to be coming up soon. But yeah, I knit this particular sweater for Knit City so that I have something to wear. And so this is my Knit City sweater. I'm really, really very, very proud of it. I absolutely love it. The design is by Caitlin Hunter. It's called Alpine Bloom. It's one of the more recent sweater patterns that she came out with. And it's kind of a short sleeve t-shirt kind of design. I know Caitlin Hunter will design quite a number of sort of cropped sweaters. This one is not super, super cropped. You can, of course, make it as long as you want. You basically start up here at the top, at this edging here, and then you knit down, and then you can knit the body as long as you like. Now, with these sleeves, you basically knit to here. Yeah, here. And then you split off for the body and then sleeves. And then from here down, you kind of just knit a few rounds. Maybe it was like 3 rounds of sleeve. And then after that, you kind of hold those stitches, and then you cast on a whole other set of stitches for this lace cuff. So rather than finishing with ribbing, like 1x1 ribbing or 2x2 ribbing or whatever, this is actually a lace cuff that is knit separately and then grafted on. So I just basically used like 2 needles and then a sewing needle, and had to graft the stitches together, kind of like how you would graft a toe closed for your socks and things like that. So I grafted the edging, this lace edging, to the body. Now, when I was at Knit City, there was a number of people who people who had knit this sweater. I saw a couple of Alpine Bloom sweaters walking around. Some people had just kind of decided not to knit the lace cuff and just knit ribbing straight down, and that's like a much quicker, easier way to finish this sweater. But yeah, if you like, this is that lace. Now, you could swap it out with a different lace if you liked. Some people were telling me that they thought that the lace was a little bit too bulky and it kind of poofed up a little bit. It wasn't as smooth of a transition, but I like it. It's fine. It works for me, and I like that it's a little bit short-sleeved. But in terms of the yarn that I used for this, I really, really was happy to use it. This is the BFL Silk Fine that we carry. So this is a BFL Blueface Leicester wool. It's like a really beautiful, glossy, soft wool that still has a little bit of tooth to it. This is not a superwash wool or anything like that. It hasn't been superwash treated. So this is a Blueface Leicester wool blended with silk. And so this is a 75-25 blend. Really, really lovely. And in order to knit the body, I actually held it together with a strand of silk mist. So this is our silk and mohair lace weight yarn. So these two held together makes the most beautifully delicious, soft, hazy kind of fabric. Yeah, I have loved it. So this colorway was called Gather. This is from our new Enigma collection. Yes. And then for the yoke part, the yoke, I believe in the original pattern, it called for spin cycle. So in this case, what I did was I spun my own yarn. So this is, again, BFL and silk. It's a BFL and silk blend. It's the same kind of blend combination as the yarn. So this is 75-25 BFL wool and silk, and this is also 75-25 BFL and silk, but this is unspun fiber that I then broke up and made into a fractal spun yarn, and then use this yarn as the contrasting color for the yoke. And then in order to sort of like highlight some of the hotter, brighter colors that were in this salted caramel colorway, I combined it again with like another thing of silk mist, but in a brighter color. So it's kind of like I used the silk mist to create almost a bit of a tone or a shade, just kind of like shading each one of these colors into a slightly different direction. So taking this one and making this more like background. I didn't want something that was super high contrast between these two for the background because that would create more of like a two-tone marled effect. So that's part of the reason why I chose colors that were very, very similar on this side. And then here, taking a silk mist that's a little bit brighter, a little bit more saturated, and then pulling the colors of the salted caramel into this kind of direction where it's brighter, just a little bit more contrasty. But at the same time, like you can see overall, there's still quite low contrast. It's still quite not, not popping. And so actually when I was knitting it, I was a little bit concerned that maybe there wasn't going to be enough contrast and I wasn't going to be able to see all of the flowers and all the detail and things like that. But now looking at it, I think it actually turned out really good. So it turned out well. I'm very happy about it. This is actually, I was telling people at Knit City what I was surprised about. It was like, I have been spinning since 2005, 2005. I've been spinning since about 2005, 2006. And this is the first time I've actually used my handspun in a sweater. It's taken that long. I know that people will spin and they'll like kind of look at their yarn and they'll be like, oh, I don't know, it's not good enough. And I have been doing this for like more than a decade. Oh, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. It's not good enough for me to put into something. I have knit socks with my handspun. I've woven things with my handspun. I have knit like small things with my hands, but never actually got to the point of putting it into a sweater because I always thought that it wasn't good enough. And I should have done this like ages ago. I should have done it ages ago. I think it's just a matter of feeling confident enough to say, yeah, I can do this and it's going to be fine and it's going to look good. And if it doesn't and it doesn't feel good, then I'll try it again. I'll do it again. I would love to do this again. I would love to make another handspun yarn that goes in and is like a contrasting yoke of a project or is a whole sweater. Actually, Greta is on here on the chat saying bravo, but Greta actually just finished a completely 100% hand spun sweater that is also very, very inspiring. Maybe she's posted on Instagram. Maybe we can share that too, but it's absolutely gorgeous. And so all of these people around me who've been making hand spun, fully hand spun sweaters, it's just been very, very inspiring. And so I'm like, I'm going to do that too. You should do that too. You should use your hand spun. Yes, very, very excited about that. So that was pretty much it about Knit City. And then, oh, I did get these earrings at Knit City as well. There was a vendor there called Heliotrope Design, and I just got these really, really lovely earrings. She does all sorts of things with like reclaimed wood and making things out of reclaimed wood. So if you go to her website, it's heliotropedesign.ca. It's really, really quite nice stuff going on there. So yeah, happy for new earrings. What else is going on? So that was September. Now it's October, and October every month, every year, we always say is kind of Socktober. So we celebrate socks. We are making socks. I have been cranking socks in the evening when my family doesn't think it's too noisy. So I've cranked one of the socks is with some yarn that I got back in May at the Erlbacher Crank-In. Very, very excited about all of this stuff. Yeah, I want to do much, much more with that circular sock knitting machine. I absolutely love it. But we have other things going on with socks this October for Socktober. And one of the big things is that we launched a course for the School of SweetGeorgia with Tabitha Hedrick, and it is about knitting socks two at a time. Two at a time on one big long circular needle, and you use a magic loop technique, and then you basically can knit both socks at the same time. You could actually knit them both cuff down or top down. No, top down or toe up. Either way, you could do that with this technique of knitting socks two at a time. But a couple of years ago, actually, was it last year? I think it was last year. Last year at this time, I was knitting two socks two at a time. I was knitting them actually at Knit City last year, and people were asking, oh, how do you do that? How do you do that? How do you do that? Can you teach us how to do that? And so this is part of the reason why we put together this course this year on how to knit socks two at a time. And so if that is interesting to you, you can definitely find that at the School of SweetGeorgia under our knitting section. And yeah, very, very fun. It's neat. Tabitha knit these two baby socks, and she knit them in different colors so that you can tell which one is sock A, which one is sock B, which one is supposed to be on which side, and all these kinds of things. So it's a really, really good and clear way of understanding how these socks are made. And it's a good technique. You could theoretically knit two sleeves this way. You could knit two of these cuffs that way. Like there's lots of things that you could do knitting two things at the same time on one big long circular needle. Now, what else has come out for Socktober? And one of the things that I'm super, I love this. This showed up. We put it on Instagram, and they're so, so pretty. These are socks that are designed by Tabitha. They are called Kelias. Kelias. These socks are designed by Tabitha. This one is knit out of the double sock blank that we have right here, right now. This is a sort of a limited time available sort of thing. This is called Modern Mandarin. The color is called Modern Mandarin. I absolutely love it. These are my kind of colors. These are my kind of colors. But yeah, there's this kind of like just flaming red, orange, gold, sunset, purple, mulberry thing going on. I absolutely love these colors. And you can see that like each sock looks pretty much identical, right? They're pretty much identical in terms of the gradation. And this is part of the reason is because they've been dyed as a double sock blank. So what a double sock blank is a piece of fabric that has been knitted. It's already been knitted, but it's been knitted with two strands held together. Okay, so this has been knit on a machine. You can see here very clearly there are two strands here coming out. Okay, there's two strands. And so you pull this, and then there will be two strands that can separate out into two different skeins or two different balls of yarn. And then each one of those will be basically dyed identically, right? They're going to follow the same sort of pattern. You can see sometimes I love sock blanks because they look like pieces of artwork on their own, just like this. It looks beautiful. It almost looks like a forest of trees. Yes. So when you kind of like separate these two strands, you could wind them into two balls. So these are actually coming out of the same double sock blank. However, they've just been wound in different order. So one of them has been wound with the purple on the outside, and one of them is wound with the purple on the inside. So you can kind of see it's the same colors, just swapped. Ta-da! Yeah. So then if you want to, you can choose whichever side that you knit out of. You could choose to knit from the center, or you could choose to knit from the outside of the ball, however you want your gradient effect to sort of happen. But this is what it looks like when it has been taken out of the wrapping, and then you would just kind of unwind these two. Now, I do have a video somewhere where I showed how I took these two, and I take these two strands and then I wind them on a swift, and I hold the two strands apart from each other so that they can create two hanks of yarn on the same swift. And then with each hank, I can separate them out. And if you don't like this sort of the kinkiness that happens when you unravel, so if you unravel a sock blank, there's a bit of this kinkiness that happens with the yarn. If you don't like that, if that bothers you, then winding them into two separate hanks and then washing the hanks and then letting those kinks kind of relax out is a nice way to prepare your yarn before you go and you knit it or you weave it, especially if you weave it. But yeah, you can definitely do that. And then if you have two ball winders, or you have an ability to wind two balls at the same time, you could also theoretically take these two strands, wind each strand to a separate ball winder, and do that at the same time. I don't have two ball winders, so I do it with the Swift. And if you don't mind it being kinky, you could also knit two socks at a time on one long circular needle using these two strands, and you just kind of like unravel it as you knit. So you just knit as much as you need, and then you kind of like pull out a little bit more yarn, and then you knit that up into your two at a time socks, and then you just keep going. So lots and lots of different ways that you can use something like this, but absolutely gorgeous. I find these colors really, really inspiring. These are definitely my colors. I'm keeping this sock blank, by the way, everybody. So that is the Kellius socks. Beautiful. Now, one of the other things that we did for Socktober is this pattern here. This is called Prismatic. This is a sock design that Tabitha also made. It's called Prismatic. This has been reworked and re-released in the mohair silk sock yarn that we make. So mohair silk sock is a sock yarn that we make that also has a little bit of mohair in it, obviously has a little bit of silk in it, has a little bit of nylon in it. All of these things add to really, really beautiful strength. It's a little bit, tiny little bit shiny, glossy kind of yarn. It's really, really just lovely yarn. And I mean, you can use it for socks, but you could use it for so many other things too. We use it for sweaters sometimes. But this is the Prismatic sock, and this is knit in the London Fog colorway. And so she has written this. It only takes one skein to make a pair of socks, but she's also written it in 3 different sizes as well. So that is available. And what else do we have here? We have new colors of single sock blanks. So single sock blanks, I'm going to undo these ones. This colorway is called Trail Runner. You guys might have seen this in fiber. We've done this on fiber as well. And then this is one of my favorite colors right now. This is Beachside Brunch. So I've done a lot of spinning in this particular color, Beachside Brunch. I've been spinning this fiber here. This is Beachside Brunch in Targhee. This is what I've been spinning. And so these two colors are basically the same. So you can see a single sock blank is significantly bigger. This has been knit with, again, 425 yards of yarn, but as one single strand. And so as a single strand, when you unravel it, you could knit this into a shawl, you could knit this into a sweater, you could knit all of these kinds of things. But if you were to knit this into a pair of socks with one strand, you get one sock that is this color from here up, and then the second sock would be this color from here down. So that's the difference between sort of a single sock blank and a double sock blank. So again, this one is the Beachside Brunch sock blank. And then this one is the Trail Runner sock blank. Now we have one last thing in celebration of socks and Socktober, and that is these sock kits with the little matching mini skeins. These have been very, very popular. People really love having just a little bit of contrast color. If you want to do a contrast heel, a contrast toe, contrast cuff, this is perfect for that. So there's 3 new kits like that. This one is called Bell Heather. And so you can see, oh, I love these colors. This is kind of light, a little splashy, and then this nice contrasting purple color here. This one is called Somerset. So we've got a little bit of yellows and golds and things like that. And then this is like a pineapple-y, orange, yellow kind of color for heels and toes contrast. And this last one is called Midnight Fern. So we'll have pictures of all these on our website in case the lighting in here is not super great. It looks very washed out. So those are the 3 new sock color options for these sock kits. Fantastic. So that has been going on with Socktober. I'm so curious about what everybody else has been doing for Socktober. I mean, one of the things that I've been really, really wanting to do is I had all this plan to spin. I've been spinning. I've been spinning a lot as well. I've been spinning sock yarn for sure. But I've spin all this yarn that is supposed to become sock yarn. Like this one is yeah, this one I spun and it was supposed to become sock yarn. I was going to crank this in the CSM. And then I get to the point where like it looks like this and it's so pretty. And then I think, oh, maybe it's too nice to use in hand spun socks. And so then I think, well, what else can I do with it? So I've been a little bit paralyzed at this point in time. Like I have a lot of cones. These are all cones of yarn that I spun that are supposed to be hand spun yarn to be used on the sock knitting machine. And I'm just sort of stalled because I'm like, oh, I can't do it. Juliet's saying, just crank it, baby. I should just do it. I should just do it. I do want to see what they look like when they're cranked up. I know that once I do it, I will not regret it. But at the same time, the yarn does look so pretty on these cones. And so I'm just looking, I'm admiring the cones right now. I'm admiring the cones of yarn. But if you do have a lot of hand spun yarn hanging around and you don't have a circular sock knitting machine that you want to crank it in or knit with it or anything like that, we do have another make along, weave along project that is going to happen in November. And so the beginning of November, what we're going to do inside the School of SweetGeorgia, and actually, I think we're doing it on Discord as well. There's a Discord link for this. If you want to join us on Discord in our Discord community and just chat about what you're weaving, we are taking hand spun and we are going to weave with our hand spun yarn. And this is something that's going to be hosted by our spinning instructor, Debbie Held from the School of SweetGeorgia. And the whole thing is about stash busting. It is about using your hand spun scraps using a rigid head loom. So I don't have any rigid head looms at my house. Weird. I have a lot of rigid heddle reeds for some reason in this room, just reeds with no looms. So I am going to probably put it on my floor loom. I'll weave plain weave. It'll be like something super, super simple. But yeah, putting it on my floor loom, doing plain weave, doing all that kind of stuff. But yeah, if you want to help join us, if you want to join us and weave with some of the hand spun yarn that you've made, any scraps that you have, Diana Twist, one of our instructors for the School of SweetGeorgia as well, on her Instagram, she has shown a number of projects that she's made with her own hand spun as well. And you don't need a ton of hand spun because a lot of times when we're learning how to spin, we are, making a rolag with some colors and blending and mixing and saying, oh, how does that look? And then we have 10 yards of yarn or 15 yards of yarn, 20 yards of yarn. So we have all these bits and pieces of yarn that are hanging around that are beautiful, that are fun, that represent learning that we've done, that represent explorations and experiments. And then they kind of just sit there. I'm like, okay, we have I have a bin of random hand spun yarn. So what can you do with that? I think a part of the goal is to also bring all that out. We'll put it very simply in the most simple possible weave structure, just plain weave on a rigid head loom. And it gives you really an idea of how your yarn performs. How does your hand spun yarn perform? How does it feel after you've woven with it, after you've made something with it? Does it feel soft? Is it too soft? Is it not going to stand up for wear? Is it too hard? Is it too crispy? Is it too tight? Is it too tightly spun, too tightly plied? All of these things will become more apparent when you actually use the yarn in a cloth that you then wet finish, and you figure out, oh, what did I get at the end of the day? And so this is all great because it's part of a learning process of understanding like this iterative cycle of making things, how we make things, kind of like we have to test. All of these things are experiments and tests. And so we get to the end point and we say, this fabric, is it any good? Do we like it? Does it feel good? Do I want more fabric like this? If I do, then I go back and I make more yarn the way that I made it. If I don't like the fabric, if it's too soft and it doesn't wear well, then I have to go back and make changes to my spinning and then come back and make another sample and say, is it better now? And so it's this cycle of kind of going back and going back and going back. And you can do this very, very quickly by using a rigid heddle loom because it's very quick and easy to warp up. I think that you can be warped and weaving within about an hour when you use something like a rigid heddle loom. This is not a weeks-long process. So in any case, there's a number of blog posts that Debbie has already written about this idea of using hand-spun scraps on a rigid heddle loom. It's all fantastic information. There's lots and lots of ideas around there. And Elena saying, planning to participate in the weave along. Yay, fantastic. So yeah, Greta's posted a couple of links in the chat so you can go and check out the blog posts and see what we're doing and see how you can join us as well for that. So very, very excited about all of that stuff happening. Yeah, so that's, I think, what is going to go on my loom next. My loom downstairs is completely empty. I'm just trying to think what we're going to make next. And so one of the things that I've been working on, you may know, is that I have been working on a weaving class for the School of SweetGeorgia to be filmed very shortly, and it will go on the school next year. Early next year, and it's going to be about weaving blocks and weaving blocks in terms of using overshot, in terms of using crackle, using summer and winter, and exploring what it means. What does weaving blocks mean, and how we can do it, and learning a lot about the theory, about the history, about the culture around it, all of these kinds of things. If you are interested in any of those things, I do post my sort of weaving in progress on the Instagram Low Meets Loom. And I sort of show like what I'm learning and what I'm able to sort of pass on while I'm doing it. And all of this is going to be compiled in a course. And I'm really excited about this because I've already started writing the workbook for it. And when I sent Greta the draft of my workbook, she was like reading it and she said, this is the first time I've ever understood overshot. So I was very happy about that. I was like, yay. This is very important to be able to explain what this is, because I don't feel like it's very complicated. I feel like a lot of weaving knowledge has been made very complicated. It doesn't need to be very complicated, but has been made very obtuse. It's hard to understand. What are people talking about? And so if we can just kind of like figure out the words to explain it in an easier way, I'm really excited for more and more people to discover a lot of these things and these techniques and everything. So that is a bit of what is happening. And then the last thing that I wanted to mention today is that you guys may have seen on our Instagram at SweetGeorgia that we are going to be moving. So SweetGeorgia Studio is going to be moving before the end of this year. And if you read, we have a blog post about it, and I posted about half of the blog post on that Instagram post, and just kind of explaining what's been happening for the past couple of years. But obviously, it sounds like we just moved into the current space that we're in. We've been there for only 3 years. And after we moved into that space, within about a year, we got notice that somebody else had bought the building and they had other plans for the building. And so even though our next door neighbor, I think they had been in their space for 40 years. And so when we got the space, we're like, oh, maybe we'll be here for 40 years. So that really wasn't the future of that particular building. And so we were told that everybody basically has to leave before the end of December. And so we have been for a couple of years now looking for a new space, and finally we have found a space. And so we do finally get the chance to move to this new location. The new location we're going to be moving in December. And so this is part of the reason why I think I got a comment last week about, oh, if there's an advent calendar this year, and there is not going to be an advent calendar project this year for Sweet Georgia. And part of the reason is because we were not sure what our production was going to look like throughout the whole year. We didn't know when we were going to be asked to leave. And so we were kind of always on the verge of, can we do this? Can we not do this? Can we do this? Can we not do this? And so we had, a couple of months ago, we were talking about, oh, we want to do a retreat. And then we were like, oh, but we can't. There's a lot of things that we can't confirm on because we didn't know where we were going to be. And so not being able to do the Advent was a little bit sad for us this year. Putting the retreat ideas on hold for now is kind of also a bit of a sad idea. But in any case, we do have a new space, and it's going to be amazing. It's going to be awesome. And we're very much looking forward to it because it's a new space means new ways of solving problems. Like, it's a puzzle. It's figuring out, how do we do this? How do we do this? How do we do this? And so it means that we have an opportunity to change things. It means we have an opportunity to try new things and grow and learn and, just find new ways of doing things and maybe finding different things to do as well. So I'm very, very interested to see how all of this is going to work out. Now, one of the things that I did want to mention is that because we are going to be moving in December, we need to obviously close down the studio for a little bit. And so one of the things I wanted to give you advance notice of is obviously holidays are coming, and, a lot of things happen in November and December, and people wanting to get holiday gifts and things like that. And so I just want to let you know that Canada Post, we ship by Canada Post. Canada Post has set holiday shipping deadlines to be December 1st for international packages. So that means that if you are anywhere outside of Canada, North America, and you want to receive a package from us before the holidays, you would need to order, and we would need to ship by December 1st. If you live in the States and you want to receive a package in the States before the holidays, then we need to ship by December 8th. And then if you're in Canada, I believe the deadline is December 20th. And so those are the dates: December 1st for international, December 8th for US, and December 20th for Canada. So just reminding you, giving you advance notice of these dates. And then what we're going to do is we are actually going to move our studio during the week of December 11th. And so that means that, you can absolutely still order online. We're going to process all of those orders and everything like that. But if you want to come and pick up locally in Vancouver, you'll probably have to arrange with us. It will be by appointment. We'll have to figure out if you come to the old space or if you come to the new space or things like that. So we can definitely be in communication with you about that. The new location is actually just 5 minutes away from our old location, so it's not too far. But yeah, we will be doing that. We're going to be moving that week of December 11th, and so we'll be open only by appointment. And then after that, we're going to close the studio on Friday, December 22nd for the holidays. We do this every year. We close between Christmas and New Year's, just to give our entire team a absolutely complete break from everything. The online store will still be open, but we will be shipping things when we get back into the studio on January the 2nd. And so those are the kinds of things that are happening. I know it seems so strange that we have to talk about this so soon. It's only October and we have to talk about the holidays, but all of these things are coming. And I just wanted to give you sort of an advance heads up of what the timeline is like and what it all looks like as well. Fantastic. Yes, thank you so much for everybody's well wishes on the studio space. Yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be neat. We actually all went to go visit the new space yesterday, and so some of the people on the team had not yet seen the space, and so it was nice to be able to go and check it out. The view is very, very lovely. There's a lot of outdoor space that is very close to us, and so it could be a place that we could do some really wonderful community things, lots of community events. There's lots of beautiful natural daylight. There's just so many wonderful, positive things about the place. And so I'm very, very, very much looking forward to being in there as well. So Yes, Juliet's saying can't wait to see the space. I am looking forward to taking some nice photos of the place as well. It's going to be fun. Yeah, Greta was there to visit. Oh, yesterday was Greta's birthday. Everybody wish Greta a happy birthday. Yesterday was birthday for Greta. Yes, wonderful. Great light for sure. Yeah, it's nice. It's great. It's nice to see everybody here too. Yeah. I do look forward to what's going to happen in the new year. There's going to be a lot of changes. There's a lot of things happening behind the scenes right now as well, in terms of, website stuff, in terms of our shop stuff, in terms of school stuff. There's a lot of things going on. So I just always appreciate that you guys come and that you join us once a month for these live streams, because it just gives us a chance to sort of catch up with you and tell you about what's been going on inside the studio and everything. Yeah, fantastic. So that's basically what I have for today. A whole bunch of sock stuff going on. Hopefully more sock things going on. If you are a part of the School of SweetGeorgia, we do have our virtual co-working session that happens this afternoon. It's at 1 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. We do this on Zoom. If you're a member of the school, you're absolutely free to join us. But it is a great hour where we spend working and getting a lot of stuff done. Actually, a ton of the overshot stuff that I've been doing for the course for the School of SweetGeorgia, all of that stuff has been done during that co-working time. And so without these dedicated sacred times where we sit down and we focus on doing the actual making work, I think a lot of stuff would get kind of shoved to the side. So it's literally taking back a chunk of Friday in order to do that making. And so this is, I feel like many of the people who are on the chat here today are also in that afternoon co-working session. And it's really, really wonderful. And I love hearing about what everybody's been making and all the progress that people make during these times. And so if you're available, if you'd like to join us, it's 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're doing that on Zoom, and the link is in the school, so you can find that there. But that is it for today. Thank you guys so much for being here. I will see you guys next month, November, and we'll do another catch up. All right. Thanks for being here. See you guys in the next one. All right. Bye for now.